Now I'm going to put the cuff on. And the nice thing is, because we have got a pleat that we can adjust if the cuff didn't quite fit, because everyone will put on the slit finish slightly different. So you might be a couple of millimeters out, you might be a couple of millimeters, you know, shorter or wider, and you can adjust that in the pleat. But if you've done it exactly like I do here, it will fit on perfectly. So just go all the way around, pin it, and where you have the pleat, where you have the seam, sometimes it's a good idea to also pin that down so that when you are sewing, you are not going to have it flip over to the other side. So I'm going to put a pin there to avoid that. And then you need to turn your sleeve, because you always want to work from the inside. It's just massively difficult to do it the other way around. So place this under the sewing machine like that, and then just move it round as you go. And I hope you can still see it, because it's such a small shirt I'm doing. I do it to save fabric as well, you know. Plus, my model, my little model from Texas, hello, is only a small boy, so I wanted to have that fitting. Go straight across. So it's the same technique that we've already used. We are just going to, now that we've got the outside cuff on, put the inside cuff over the top. It's much, much easier than preparing the cuffs before. The first thing here is to really iron the seam into the cuff, very sharp edge. So do this right. And then you, same as on the collar, you place the contrast or the same fabric underneath it, go all the way around, make sure that you have a smaller stitch when you go and do your round parts, because we're going to really cut that back, and that you come down dead straight right next to the line here. I'm sorry I didn't show more of that, because I just thought I'd pressed record and I hadn't. Now I'm going to cut this back to make sure that I can, you know, turn it, otherwise there's too much fabric. And we do the same as on the collar. You just need to leave a little bit standing of the contrast, or basically the inside fabric, because of course we're going to turn that around the other seam allowance and fold it in. And if we can't do that because it's cut down too much, then that's not a good idea, is it? So now it's going to be pressed. And then the same way as on the collar, we turn it in and we pin it. And we pin it so that the stitch line is just visible. Exactly the same as on the collar. It's very important you press this really well before you start pinning. And I've done that here already, so that'll take some time, but it does look so, so good when it's done well. And now we're going to top stitch all the way around there. And again, have your actual shirt into the sewing machine. You start on what is more difficult actually, but then as you go around, of course, the shirt moves around as well, and then it's easier. So again, if you start on the other side because you think that's easier, you would be sadly mistaken. So start this way so that your fabric remains on the left-hand side and your eye is on the right, because for a right-handed person, that is the edge of the fabric. That's where my concentration has to be on. And you can see I still move the pins out even though I don't have to. I just want a really nice and even seam for all those close-up photographs and footage. Don't want to show myself up, do I? So secure, and you've got a really lovely cuff. Now that isn't very difficult. It's just a lot of steps that you need to follow, and you need to do them really nicely. Do not be too lazy to go to your ironing board. You need to iron all the way.